David and Goliath. A giant problem, a small solution. The battlefield of fear. The valley of Elah lay silent, save for the steady beat of war drums echoing between the hills. On one side stood the army of Israel, anxious and weary. On the other, the Philistines bold, confident, and dangerous. But it wasn't just armies facing off. Every morning, a monstrous figure descended from the Philistine ridge. "Send me a man!" the giant roared. "Let him come down and fight me!" His name was Goliath, nearly 10 feet tall, clad in bronze armor, with a spear as long as a weaver's beam. No Israelite dared to answer. Question: have you ever faced something so intimidating that it froze you in place? A boy with cheese and courage. Far away, in the quiet town of Bethlehem, a shepherd named David was running an errand for his father, Jesse. "Take this bread and cheese to your brothers on the front lines," Jesse said. "See how they're doing." David obeyed. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't even old enough to be one. He was just the youngest of 8 sons, known mostly for playing the harp and watching sheep. But destiny doesn't always knock on the biggest door, it often finds the smallest crack. As David approached the camp, he heard Goliath's challenge and the terrified whispers of the men around him. "Have you seen that giant? He's been challenging us for 40 days. Interjection. 40 days. That's more than a month of fear. The question. No one asked. David didn't cower. Instead, he asked, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel?" His question wasn't about reward, it was about principle. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? His brothers scoffed. "Go home, David. You're just a boy. You're only here to watch." But David saw what others didn't. Not a giant too big to fight, but a challenge too important to ignore. Comparison. Sometimes, younger voices see clearly what older, more experienced ones miss. Think of young climate activists, tech innovators, or students pushing for change. The courage to speak up. Word of David's boldness spread quickly, eventually reaching King Saul himself. "You're just a youth," Saul said. "Goliath has been a warrior since he was your age." But David stood firm. "I've fought lions and bears while protecting my father's sheep. God delivered me then. He'll deliver me now." Interjection. Wait, a teenager talking about killing lions and bears like it's no big deal? Saul, perhaps out of hope or desperation, agreed. He offered David his own armor, but David refused. "I cannot go in these. I'm not used to them." So, with a shepherd's staff, 5 smooth stones, and a sling, David walked out to face the giant. Question. Have you ever felt like you had to be someone else to succeed, only to realize your own tools were enough? Goliath laughs. As David approached, Goliath bellowed in rage and amusement. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" David didn't flinch. "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." The Philistines chuckled. The Israelites held their breath. This wasn't supposed to happen. No one had ever stood up to Goliath. And yet, here was a boy, calm, unshaken, confident. The moment, everything changed. David ran forward. He didn't hesitate. He reached into his bag, pulled out a stone, and slung it with practiced precision. Whack! The stone struck Goliath right between the eyes. The giant stumbled, then fell, face down, silent, dead. The Philistines gasped. The Israelites erupted in cheers, and just like that, fear turned into faith. Comparison. Think about moments when the underdog wins, a student defending their peers, a whistleblower exposing corruption, a small startup disrupting an industry. It's not always size. Sometimes it's soul. After the victory, David became a hero overnight. But his victory wasn't just about defeating Goliath, it was about changing what people believed was possible. Where others saw defeat, he saw opportunity. Where others heard threats, he heard a challenge to truth. Question: what giants do we face today that seem unbeatable? Bullying, injustice, addiction, divorce, financial ruin, job loss, mental health stigma. David's story tells us, giants fall, lessons in a sling. David's strength wasn't in his arm, it was in his faith. He trusted something greater than himself. He also stayed true to who he was. No armor, no sword, just the tools he knew. Modern relevance. Today, this story reminds us, you don't have to be the biggest to make a difference. Courage is more contagious than fear. Faith, purpose, and authenticity matter. Sometimes, the smallest voice can bring down the biggest lie. A challenge to us. What if we each faced our giants the way David did? What if, instead of avoiding hard things, we stepped toward them? A student speaks up against bullying. A young entrepreneur starts a company that helps others. An artist tells the truth in their work, even when it's risky. A citizen stands up to injustice. What if we asked ourselves, what stone do I have in my sling? Question: what strength, skill, or belief do you already have that might make a difference? The boy who changed a nation. David's battle with Goliath wasn't just a fight, it was a turning point. It taught Israel that no enemy is too strong when your cause is just. It taught us that greatness isn't always loud, tall, or armored. And most of all, it showed that even the smallest person, with the right heart and the right cause, can become a giant themselves. Final reflection. Your Goliath might not be 9 feet tall, but it's real. So is your sling. So is your courage. Do not ever give up. You must continue to try for you and for your loved ones, and don't forget, foes. Are you ready to stand? Please subscribe, like, and share so we can continue to bring you these Bible stories.